Let's get salty!
Hey everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and the more I have reviewed the Hearthstone meta, the more I keep seeing this card over here, Wisp. That's right, an 11-year-old card from day one in Hearthstone, one of the worst cards way back in the day, where if I think you look at Hearthstone top decks where people even rate cards, it is pretty darn low. It's basically a meme, like infinite value, it costs no mana, and has seen very fringe play throughout the entire history of the game, with probably the most prolific being like Quest Rogue, the Caverns Below Rogue, where you could play a 0-mana 5/5. That was pretty darn good, but even there, it didn't really make the cut. But this year has been something different. This card was added back to the core set, and it has really had a place in the meta. Actually, a lot of places in the meta, where if you take a look at HS Replay, it's in over 10% of decks right now, and it's not just one popular deck, not one fringe interaction. It just kind of highlights how Hearthstone in general has changed, where a card that was seemingly useless 11 years ago, a 0-mana 1/1, it wasn't even an undead then, which by the way doesn't factor into any of these decks being good, was just not worth playing, and now, well, it's actually consideration for multiple reasons. So we're just going to do a dive into how Wisp went from a meme to an actual meta player. And if you enjoy the content on the channel, feel like I've earned your subscription, please hit that sub button down below. Give the video likes, it helps out a lot. Plus, we're expecting a mini set announcement any day now, and you'll want to stay tuned for that. And yes, we will have a giveaway. We're not going to stop doing the giveaways because we hit 100K. I always want to give back, and we're going to keep on doing that. And before we dive into the decks that Wisp is actually seeing play in and what it's doing, I want to mention that the philosophy of Hearthstone has changed a lot, and Wisp, again, really symbolic of that, where back in the old days of Hearthstone, card draw came at a premium. So if you're playing a card like Wisp, a 0-mana 1/1, and it doesn't really help your deck accomplish its thing quite easily, you pretty much couldn't play it because you're gonna be out of cards really fast with the Wisp. So that's a big part. Also, tribal synergies, attack synergies, not nearly as prevalent back in the day that it is like now, as well as also deck building requirements didn't exist back in the day. So just kind of highlighting, I guess, foreshadowing a lot of these decks. So first we have the Wisp Aggro Paladin. Obviously these aren't Wisp based decks, but I'm putting Wisp in the title, where a card like Wisp is quite good, mainly because it has one attack. It is 0, so that's nice. You could play a Wisp, play a 1-drop, and then play a Busy Bot and buffing that immediately on the board. That alone is just good, right? And even though this deck doesn't really have great card draw, let's say I play a new card that didn't exist back in the day, Platasaur, 1-mana draw card. If this dies, I discard it. Well, hitting something like a Wisp is awfully helpful, so you can just dump that card, get it on the board, and then you have these incredible board buffing cards that in Paladin back in the day just did not exist. You had single buffs, but not these board ones like Crusader Aura or Flash Sale, where all of a sudden this 0-mana 1/1, I combo with a Flash Sale. Hey, that's a 2/3 for free, basically throwing that in there. That could be really helpful. And again, if this was any other 0-drop that's typically in the core set, whether it's our cute Murloc friend or the demon, the Death Skip, or Snow Flipper Penguin, they'd basically be able to slot in any of these decks. This isn't Wisp specific. Ironically, the main reason they put Wisp in compared to the other 0-drops is Imbue Mage, which summons Wisps and doesn't play Wisps at all, right? They don't play the card. So yeah, it's kind of funny it was brought back. It feels like for that deck, it's seeing a lot of play, but not really in that deck. So yeah, it's Paladin utilizing it in that synergistic board buffing way, but two other decks, they utilize it in a much different way. Again, a way that didn't really exist back in the old days of Hearthstone. You could argue Divine Favor would be kind of a comparable for some of this stuff where you just want to dump cards and play Divine Favor. I wonder, did that actually see play back in the day with those decks? I don't think it did, but you could argue maybe it should have for that reason. But this deck, which has been nerfed multiple times, with Playhouse Giant going to 25 mana, with the Ever-Burning Phoenix no longer being infinite, with Twisted Web Weaver no longer being 1 mana, and prep and step remaining the same. Anyways, Wisp in this deck, and why do I want to play it? Literally, you want to play this card because it's 0 mana and it's a minion, because you have a card like Eat the Imp, which again destroys any minion you play and draws you 3 cards. So just having a Wisp for that, not only am I not really wasting a card spot, I'm actually gaining an extra 2 cards on top of it, right? 3 overall. Subtract the Wisp from that equation, we got 2 cards out of the deal. Or maybe a Cultist map where I discover a card from my deck, and if you play it this turn, also pick one of the others. If I get Wisp, I can always pick that. I can always play it unless they've made my minions more expensive through like the Death Knight AoE that's in standard right now. So again, really good for that. And that's literally it. You just want that in there to cycle and get it out. It's not about board presence. It's not about buffing it. It is just about drawing as many cards and playing as many cheap things, or maybe discounting my ever burning Phoenix as it's a card played. It makes this 1 less mana. So there's a lot going on for it out of this, you know, just this silly meme of a 0 mana card that didn't see play for quite some time. And again, you're basically got the same argument currently in what looks to be the best deck in standard. I know people thought I clickbaited with that. No, Quest Warlock or Fyrakk Road are one of the 2 like either the best deck, at least the top legend. It's super good. And yes, we run 2 Wisps in this deck. The idea on this one, some lists run Eat the Imp, some don't, but the idea is I can just play it. If I get it from my Cursed Catacombs, it becomes a temporary card. It's only 0 mana, so I can always play it and help activate my quest, get me closer to that Underfell Rift. Same with like a Platasaur, or just cycling through with a mass production. Or at the end of the day, I don't even want the card. I can complete this quest, escape the Underfell, and just throw it in that rift and get 2 Fell Beasts, which can be really good. So you get all these utilizations out of what it basically, again, seems to be like a pretty useless card, but you have multiple synergies going here again that just didn't exist for a very long time, where you have 1 mana draw 3. Although this came out, when did Solarium come out? That was a long time ago, actually. What an insanely good card. Or Eat the Imp, or a Cursed Catacombs, a 0 mana draw card. It just all kind of comes together in a pretty cool way. And then we'll leave off with the other thing that has helped Wisp play in plenty of decks. I'm using Death Knight as example because it's the most recent one I saw at High Legend, where you have a card like Elise the Navigator. Your deck started with 10 cards of different costs. Craft a custom location, and those locations are amazing. You could get armor, you could summon a copy of a minion, it could do a ton of great stuff. So I want to run Elise in a lot of decks, and she is seeing a lot of play in standard right now for good reason. One of the best cards of the set, although is that really saying much about this Angoro set so far? But ironically, you see there's no 8 mana card here. Some people will run Shaladra Soul Spell, right? The 8 mana spell. Others have just determined it's better just to have a Wisp as a 0 mana card to activate Elise. What are our synergies? Even though it's an undead, this deck doesn't have undead synergies. The synergy is literally get my Elise going. That's why I'm running 1 Wisp. There is some times where I need an extra corpse for my corpse explosion. I'll throw that out there, or I'll just, you know, play it. Or it's Dirty Rat. I hold it. Maybe my opponent will Dirty Rat my Wisp instead. But this is a situation where the card basically has no direct synergy with our deck other than deck building requirements, and it is absolutely a valid consideration to run that 1 0 mana card to make Elise not so much a meme, but a damn competitive card. And I just think that's really cool. That's why I love a card like an Elise that allows deck building to allow cards to see play that maybe normally wouldn't, like a Reno Jackson, like those type of cards. So it is a pretty rad thing. So yeah, I just thought we'd talk about Wisp for like 10 minutes, and we did. And I think that's kind of neat. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the random Wisp video, but I actually tweeted about this and was kind of thinking about it, and well, we're awaiting a mini set, so I thought we'd talk about it. Anyways, let me know in the comments down below, do you think Wisp should be nerfed? It's too broken or whatever. But no, let me know what other cards have gone from, you know, complete memes to actually pretty good. Wild's got a lot of them, the Wretched Tillers of the world, for example, but there are others that have popped up over Hearthstone's history, and it's always just kind of a cool thing to talk about. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day and stay wispy, my friends.